Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is episode 91. And the reason why I'm calling out the number is we are getting very close to episode 100. And for anyone who has listened from the beginning, that was a goal to definitely not quit until I hit 100. And we're getting close to that mark, which is exciting. It's flown by. I haven't really missed, I think I took 1 week off in Christmas time last year. So I will actually be taking a couple weeks off. We're going to be back, I think it's October 8th, just so that I can get a little caught up. Because the way that this podcast has usually worked is I would batch some episodes so that I never felt like I was struggling to get my Ditch the Struggle podcast done and to my editor on time. And I was always trying to be in a space of flow, make sure it felt good and fun. And the last couple months has been a little banana town for me, just in terms of things that I've taken on. You know, when you're a freelancer, the thing is, sometimes you cannot schedule things in an ideal way. The projects just kind of come, as they do. So it's been a little crazy. And what I found is I've been kind of having to record kind of week to week. And that's fine because I still enjoy it and I don't find it that hard. I mean, I'm not running out of ideas, that's for sure. I don't even understand the concept of running out of ideas. There's so much to talk about. But what I prefer is to be more in that flow state. And what that means is having a bunch in the queue. And I also really like to batch my episodes because I get in a better flow. I feel like I speak better. My ideas come out better. I'm just kind of in the zone as opposed to breaking out of that zone all the time. And I think a lot of graphic designers might even understand. You just kind of need to immerse yourself in it, right? And I want to kind of get back to that feeling. It's all about the feelings for me. So I thought I'd just take a couple of weeks off. I have a bunch of interviews I'm scheduling or conversations, and I just want to get into that space. And the kind of funny part is that I had to remind myself that I can take a break. It is my podcast. I do have autonomy over how this goes down, but there's also that part of me that's like, I don't want to not be consistent, but consistency doesn't mean never taking a break. I think that's ridiculous. So I just had to talk myself into some rational thinking and agree to take a couple weeks off. So don't worry, I'm coming back. So this will be coming out, and then we'll return in it'll be about 3 weeks. And what's really exciting is that we have the 100th episode coming, and I am planning a little contest. I'm going to do a giveaway on Instagram. So follow me at Alana Rosso, and I'm going to give away a $100 gift card. I'm going to keep what the gift card is for a secret for now, but I will say it is from a company that is owned by someone who has been on this podcast that I've had a conversation with. It is a Canadian-owned company. I didn't want to do like a Starbucks or an Amazon gift card. They don't need our money. I want to give it to a small business because, as most of you know, that's what I love to support. I love these people that are hustling and just doing the work, right? And the $100 is going to go really far. So I'm excited. That's going to be coming out. I'll start promoting that around the episode 99 mark. So look out for that. And I also just wanted to mention that I just really appreciate all the support, all the messages coming out. If you can follow the show, share it with friends, that is great. A rating and review really means so much because we are still growing. And not just my podcast, but any podcast that you are enjoying, take a second to leave that rating and review. It can make a big impact in how their show grows. And anyone who's doing a podcast, they're really not in it for the money. They are in it because they have a message to share. They want to reach a bunch of people. I'm kind of excited. Today I looked at the stats. I'm not a very stats or analytics driven person. but we are now in 41 countries we've been downloaded and 309 cities. So it's pretty cool. I truly forget that there are people that can hear this that are beyond the four walls of my office where I record this. And it's like a tiny little baffle board setup that my husband has made for me. It is very simple. It is not fancy at all, but how that many people can hear it is very cool. And I just really appreciate you guys tuning in. So let's get to the story. I want to tell the story of the chicken sticker. For anyone who's read my blog, this has been on it, and it's one of my kind of OG postings because this story is, I think, really important. And I have genuinely thought back to this moment so many times in my career. And I've never forgotten it. I think there's a very simple lesson to be learned from it. And I'm going to share what this chicken sticker was, what it means. And for anyone who is having difficulty charging what they want to charge and having a challenge putting a price on their goods and services, you need to listen to the chicken sticker. So back in 2013 to 2015, I was working in a design agency, and it was a pretty good gig for the most part. The company did a lot of packaging and food packaging specifically for a retail grocery store. The chain was Sobeys. So I did a lot of work for Sobeys, got to know their brand really well. I actually even worked on their brand standards. That was established before I got there, but got to kind of work on that. And one day, I got a project handed to me, and the account manager just kind of rolled her eyes as she briefed me. I was like, okay. And she knew it was going to be boring, kind of a chore. So what I was asked to do was not my usual, package design project. It was to design a sticker to go on family packs of raw chicken meat. So hence the chicken sticker. So it was going to be a $1 off sticker that went on a family pack of chicken meat. So you know the stickers I'm talking about. They're usually like loud, like red and yellow, really ugly so they get your attention. They'll scream, $1 off or 50% off. Or this was literally a sticker for $1 off chicken. Now, these are often called violator stickers in the packaging industry because they are literally there to violate the package so that you can't miss them. It's not about things being pretty, subtle. No, it has to scream, buy me, I'm cheap. That is the purpose of it. I was like, okay, just you never know what you're going to get when you're working as a freelancer in an agency. Just as a designer, you don't know what you're going to get. Weird projects come your way, like all the time. So I get this project. There's like a full formal brief for it. I think that's also something that's kind of, I think people would have a hard time believing is that when these so-called tiny projects that actually mushroomed into a huge project, these tiny projects come along, how there's like a formal brief and there's a copy deck and there's like, this company ran like a real agency. They were a real agency. It was run by two women. Very small, but they had both come from big advertising agencies, so they kind of knew how to run the show. And I will say to this day, I appreciate that every project, no matter how tiny, even if it was a $1 off chicken sticker, had a copy deck. I dream of copy decks. I rarely get them. That's like a formal document that tells you exactly the wording that's going in your project. I know any graphic designer listening is like, you're dreaming. Tonight, you're probably dreaming, like, can I please just get a copy deck? Can someone just tell me what words to go into this so that when I lay it out, it makes sense? I don't have to redesign it with new copies. So I know you're dreaming of that. I hope your dreams come true. Probably won't. You know how it goes. Okay, so I get this brief. I'm thinking this is going to take like 3 hours maximum. And I'm sure some of you are listening like, what does she mean it's going to take 3 hours? Like you put like a $sign and then like a number one and then like that's it. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to measure the size of the chicken package. You have to think about the colors that are appropriate to use for this brand in their particular stores. There's a few things to think about. But for the most part, I agree. It was small and simple. So it was going to be 1.25 inches in diameter. And the grocery store did already have a look and feel for the pricing of their stickers. Like they had an established look. You couldn't just like make what you wanted to. It had to follow some kind of standard. So I'm not reinventing the wheel here, right? So, okay, you kind of know where this is going to go. This project took, seriously, 20 hours. This sticker for $1 off that was 1.25 inches in diameter took 20 hours of time. So it was like, I'm not going to tell you about all the yawn-inducing details, but there was about 1 billion, 2 billion ridiculous client changes, back and forth emails, and basically an absurd amount of billable time. Okay, so we're going to talk numbers. Actually, anyone who knows me, and especially if you've worked with me as your coach in your career, I love math, basic math. I just love breaking things down so we know, like, what are you actually making? What is the actual goal? Like, I just like numbers. So this agency back then, now this is, again, around between 2013 and 2015 I was there. Back then, they charged $180 per hour for the services of the designer and the rest of the team. So this was called a blended rate. So if Sobeys wanted to hire the team that was working, it was $180 an hour. I'm guessing now that number would probably be close to double, just the way things are going. But this blended rate was $180 an hour. Now, I'm not making that, of course, like the whole team is getting whatever their hourly rate is. But this was the blended rate. Okay, so let's go back to the math. So if I worked 20 hours and this was $180 an hour, that is $3,600. So that means that this company, Sobeys, was charged $3,600 for a $1 off chicken sticker. So yes. And they had to approve that bill of $3,600 for the chicken sticker. This is true. This really happened. And I understand, like, if we step back to a large corporation, $3,600 is probably nothing, but it is a chunk of money. Again, now that would be even more money. So someone had to, on the other side of the invoice, approve it and say, yep, $3,600 for a chicken sticker. That sounds right. Yes, like approved. So, I mean, it's kind of a WTF moment. Now, the company I was working with at the design agency, to their credit, I mean, they had built a very strong relationship with this client. They were very gifted, confident salespeople. They did a really good dog and pony show. They knew how to sell a client on an idea. Like, they were good at that. They got buy-in really well. They knew what they were doing. So they had a lot of trust with the client. I'm sure client, in the grand scheme of things, is not even thinking twice about it. Plus, if they're going to sell $20,000 more of chicken, then was $3,600. But the point is, somewhere out there was a designer, me, who spent 20 hours on a sticker, and the company got to charge $3,600 for my services and the people that were kind of, well, I was the account manager. I mean, it wasn't hard to manage this project, right? Pretty aggressive billing. So why this was like, first of all, you cannot forget spending 20 hours designing a sticker. That's just going to stand out in your mind, especially a chicken sticker. I mean, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, and I had to work on a lot of raw meat products, which really was not enjoyable. I had to do like a lot of things like that. So I definitely know what it's like when you just have to suck it up just to, do a job that pays the bills. But it made me think a lot about how we hesitate about charging for something when in reality, the client might not be freaking out like we are. And you could say, okay, well, you were working for like a fancy design agency. It was not a fancy design agency. It's grown since, but it was 2 women running a small show. They just went for it. Like, I do remember that they were just very confident, and they seemed confident, at least. I mean, you never really know. A lot of people are just like pretending they're confident, which is totally fine. We all have to kind of do that. But they were just going for it. And it was not a non-issue. It was a non-issue. Obviously, the bill got paid. Everything was fine. And I have thought back to this because when I worry, and I know everyone does this, anyone who does any kind of business, most individual entrepreneurs, not all people, but most, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you might, you're freaking out when you're about to send an invoice to a client. You're just like, oh my God, especially if it went overtime, or you start doing that thing where you're like, all I delivered was, let's say, 3 print ads, like 3 small ads, and I'm charging this amount of money. And it's just one of those projects that might have mushaboomed. It's like, oh, this took like 5 times longer than you expected. And you're nervous to submit the final invoice. Now, hopefully there is some transparency that you've set up. You've told the client if things are going beyond the scope, if things are going to take longer, cost more, all that stuff. But there are still some times where I look at an invoice I'm sending and I think, did I earn that? Like, am I worth that amount? And that's not good. It is like limited old thinking, that it's like the insecure, probably the small child version of yourself that's just running the show and not thinking you're worthy of receiving what you want to charge, or what you are charging, what makes sense. Like, you've put in the time, you've put in the energy, and that questioning that comes up. I think this comes up for a lot of people, although again, I do think there are people that was like, yeah, I'm just like going to charge this and that's what it is. And like, that's the $3,600 for the chicken sticker. That's just what it is. You kind of need to have that confidence. And when I do one of my presentations, I kind of have a funny part about channeling the confidence of Celine Dion. Like, if you can just have 2% of her confidence and her just like her gusto, then you're going to make it in this world. Like, you're going to be fine. So you kind of need to tap into that and remember that there are people out there charging way more than you just because they have the confidence to do it. They're not better than you. They're not smarter than you. They're probably dumber than you because they're just not overthinking things, right? There's a famous story that went around all the entrepreneurial / freelance like Facebook groups and things like that years ago. I tried to look it up and I can't see the product for sale anymore, but there used to be apparently a Tiffany paperclip. I believe it was gold. Like, literally a paperclip that you would use as a bookmark, but actually the size of a paperclip. So just picture a gold paperclip. That was $1,500 US. And kind of the post would be something like, if Tiffany has enough, guts to charge $1,500 for a paperclip, you can certainly charge what you are worthy of charging. Like, you can charge what you need to charge. And that they had established this brand, which made it easier for people to kind of buy into this, the allure of Tiffany, and you're buying into the history, the heritage, the story, the brand, all those things. And you can certainly do the same. I can't find these paper clips for sale anymore, although there's some on eBay. With the cost of gold right now, probably be a lot more than $1,500. But we need to get back to this point. It's like hesitating on what you're charging is not serving you. I'm assuming that you're working with integrity. You're not just making up, hours that you haven't worked, and you have put in the blood, sweat, and the tears. Like, you've done an outstanding job. You've put in that 100%. And, sometimes even, I'm going to say, your 80% is probably someone else's 2,000%. Like, that's what I figured out too. Most graphic designers are very conscientious and things like that. And if you've had any kind of longevity in your career as a graphic designer, you're definitely conscientious and working from integrity, because you would be weeded out so long ago. So yeah, I did spend 20 hours making a chicken sticker. Sobeys would have paid $3,600 for this. And I don't know if it ever went to, I actually don't even know if it went to market. Do you know that? I don't actually know. I didn't go looking for it. I wasn't perusing, the raw chicken meat aisles and just checking, oh, is my $1 off sticker there? Well, I'll put that in my portfolio. I did not put that in my portfolio. There's so many things that I've designed that go into the ether. I don't know if they ever make it. And even if they make it to market, I don't really get excited to see my stuff in real life. I know some people do. Sometimes there's certain projects that I think are really cool, but I'm just chopping wood. My friend says that all the time. We're just chopping wood some days, and that's okay. So remember this chicken sticker. I have thought back to it many times, And I know if you didn't design a chicken sticker, you've probably done something or seen another company bill for something ridiculous that took no time or no effort, and a huge amount of money was paid for it because the value of it was there, right? So Sobeys saw the value in this $3,600 chicken sticker, and they just went for it. So try not to question the value of your worth all the time. I challenge you to just send the invoice and tell yourself, absolutely, I deserve this. Absolutely, I deserve this. I'm charging what I am worth. That is the goal, to get into that space of flow and ease with how you're invoicing and receiving. Allow yourself to be paid for what you've done. Allow yourself to receive for all the hard work that you've done, because it's probably amazing. I'm going to guess, just making the assumption, that it is much more exciting and phenomenal than my $1 off chicken sticker was. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.